Around the cyber city, the body shop, Marks and Spencer. Some waiting time. I arrived a little early. Yeah, Starbucks. Here he was telling that we will meet. This mist on the glass indicates. Yes. Yes. बहुत बढ़िया. All right. It was a good weather today. Not rainy, but foggy. Right? Not rainy, but foggy. And when
fog has cleared up.
Fog has cleared up rather now. And when I started, when Vikas told me that we want to meet a friend, and he shared some of his content, and since it related to aviation, I became a bit interested in that. And why I became interested in that? Because I saw a man flying aircraft of two types. He says now not at the same time, but it is as good as very challenging and difficult. I said I want to meet him, and he talks of the safety, and then safety with flying into aircraft, and then Captain Amit, right? So we fixed a time, and then we met, and I always say there is a bonus. तभी मैं कहता हूँ कि मिलना ज़रूर चाहिए. फ़ोन पर बात करना और चैट करना, फिज़िकल मीटिंग एक अपना चार्म है, और उसमें कुछ ना कुछ बोनस निकलता है. और जब आप कहते हैं ना मधानी चलाते हैं तो मक्खन तभी निकलता है. एंड प्रॉब्ली व्हेन ही डिसाइडेड कि चलो आज मिलते हैं, तो आई सेड ओके, एंड वी सिलेक्टेड वेरी गुड डे. एंड देन अमित से जब मिला तो ही इज़ अ वेरी फैसिनेटिंग पर्सनैलिटी. And I always say aviation is a very small world, but it is so small I never realized. So it is so small, and I was proudly telling him that I got a deep aviation connect since I retired from Airport Society of India. And then he said I too have one connect with the airport. I say maybe since he's working with the airline, that's why he's saying that he has got some connect with airports. But then the moment he said that he is son of Professor N.K. Singh, I took a shock. I took a shock. Having known him and having his number, I never realized that I have, because we never met in person. And even that article you shared, that has got his image and everything. So now chatting for more than 1 hour or so, he has opened up and he has got so many things on which he is working, and his blog, etc. But the top of it, he is working on 2 books. One related to Professor Saab, Professor N.K. Singh, and one on his own work. And today I thought that I must spend, not lose that opportunity to listen from him. So now, Amit, over to you. In this background, you give us what best you can sum up in 5-10 minutes. What you are going, what are your future things, and something very proud moments of Professor Saab also you can bring in there. Over to you.
So to start with Professor Singh, he used to get up in the morning.
Right.
And only he used to meditate for a few minutes. And then all the ideas used to churn out. So his tagline was "Ideas rule the world."
Idea rules out.
So he has built a lot of things, lot of institutions, and worked with so many people. So he has learned from everywhere, and he does not fear basically losing things because he knows that his power is in creating things.
Good, right.
So if you lose something, you can create 10 more things. So that is the power of human mind and the creativity. Because even animals like birds and all, they have been making the nest
Right.
the same way for centuries.
Good, right.
But humans have the capability of doing something new every time. So same is with me. That, whatever I observe and see, I try to see why is this happening.
Right.
I go to the root, the beginning, how did this start, and the genesis basically. So then you find out the exact nature of the person, nature of the object.
Right.
Then you say, why cannot we do this differently?
Right.
Because if you see the finished product, you can't change things unless you know it in depth.
Right.
So that's why I observe people, and even myself. When I make mistakes, I question myself, why did I make a mistake?
That's
So because I have the answers, so I know the reason then finally after research. So then I write them down in my blog. This is a possibility, and this is why people do what they do.
right. Right.
So the basic thing is what is in your mind. So I can't read your mind, but what you do, I can tell you that you did this because of this, because of this in-depth research. So machines are there to help you.
Right.
Ultimately, human being is the controller.
Right. Right.
Or the human mind. But
Right.
what controls the human mind?
Yes. That's all.
That is infinite. There is no end to it. The brain and mind are different.
You got the true genes of your father. And then while we were talking, I was really thinking that there must be something common, and then that intuition was there in my mind. And now Professor Saab was mentioning that once he asked me that you have got some insights on Agathi Airport, and you mentioned yes, he is writing a book which is semi-finished. Now I think you are trying to finish that. Just touch about something about that.
So about Agathi was, I think, the biggest challenge that he took up while in Airports Authority.
Right.
And what he has written in his book, one line, that only a mad CEO can take up this challenge. But the challenge was, the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi wanted an airport in Agathi. Anybody could do it, but he said in 6 months.
Yes.
So 6 months, everybody refused. It cannot be done because that soil is very loose and sandy.
Right.
And monsoons were approaching.
Right.
So he took up the challenge. That's why he said only a mad CEO can do it. So to do something new, you have to be on the border of the madness. Genius is also bordering mad. So unless you take up a challenge, so those things.
N.K. Singh was very unique. He was always ready to take the challenges, and he always used to believe in delivering the best.
Correct.
And this is a great challenge. If you are delivering the best, and while you are taking the challenge, also it's not very easy. That quality was in him. And as you said, when engineering at that time used to say कि सर ये तो एक हफ्ते में होगा नहीं. उसने बोला एक हफ्ते में ही करना है, चाहे होगा या नहीं होगा.
We have to think, force yourself to think.
उनके टाइम के अंदर व्हाइट वॉश रात को होके सुबह हीटरों से सुखा के भी हमने नेगोशिएशन करा रखा है.
That is the power that you think of alternatives. ऐसे क्यों नहीं कर सकते हैं?
बिल्कुल राइट. अच्छा, now about that second book, history, which you are working, that also, because since we are sitting here, and it will be a sort of a pre-launch of that book. Maybe when it comes at that time, we will remember to give some insight what motivates you and what you are bringing into that. You mentioned that you are bringing very scientific inputs to history. Let us see what are those science in history.
So ancestry is something which basically excites everybody. That who were we?
Right.
500 years back, 1000 years back.
Right.
So again, it started with my father. So in between, he said we we are Rajput, so naturally everybody goes to Rajasthan.
Right.
So he also traveled to Jaisalmer, Jodhpur.
Right.
So he got information on our ancestors that they were here and they were ruling this fort, that fort.
Right.
So then he wanted to write something on it, but he couldn't get enough material.
Right. Right.
So later he gave me his whatever records he had, revenue department.
Okay.
So those records has that ancestry list of 40, 60 ancestors. So he
Okay.
said, this is what I have. And these are the notes I prepared on my Rajasthan trip.
Okay.
I said, okay, I will write something. So I took up that challenge.
Very good. Very good.
So then once you start doing research, you keep going deeper and deeper. There's no end to it.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So naturally everybody goes to Rajasthan to look for Rajputs.
Right.
There is something more. Because that sixth sense tells me there is something more somewhere else.
Right.
So I started exploring names. So when you go towards Iran, the names are quite similar.
Right.
So then I said there is some connect because the names are very similar.
Okay.
So then I started researching books written by Persian authors and Arab authors who came in.
Good.
So there I found some references. And Colonel Todd has the British historian who has written a book on Rajasthan.
Okay.
So he has mentioned in places. We are basically Vara Rajputs.
Okay. Vara Rajput.
So he said Vara Rajputs. And at one point he has written there was a systematic move to eliminate the names of these
Okay.
Vara Rajputs. He said, what is the reason for this? So basically some enmity between two groups.
Right. Right.
So it kind of started generating more interest. So I reversed backtrack and I could find evidence till Mongolia in basically 25 BC. So they started from there called the Xingu dynasty. Then there was a Han dynasty in China.
Okay.
So the Great Wall of China was built basically to protect the Han dynasty from our people. So then they moved towards Central Asia.
Right.
One group went to Europe.
Okay.
They called them Attila the Hun. Another group went south to Central Asia, basically Iran. So in Iran there were 7 noble houses called.
Okay.
One was House of Varaz. So this Varaz is very intriguing. How come Varaz? They write it W-A-R-A-Z.
Okay.
But the meaning is same. Vara is the boar avatar.
Vara is avatar. Bilkul right.
So there also the meaning is boar. Wild boar. Wild boar means the strongest.
Okay.
The strongest animal. So then they moved basically to Afghanistan. They formed the Turk Shahi dynasty.
Okay.
Then they changed to Hindu Shahi dynasty.
Right. Okay.
So Hindu Shahi dynasty, they had one famous Raja Jaipal who resisted Ghaznavi.
Okay.
So only after Ghaznavi defeated Hindu Shahi could he enter India.
Okay.
So 17 wars after he entered India and Punjab and all. So then after that we scattered to Kashmir, Himachal. So the surprising part is that if I go to Himachal, my native place, and I ask them, what is this Vara? They said, we also don't know. So nobody writes the name.
वरा का मतलब गुरु नहीं होता वर वरा.
If you go to Punjab and Pakistan, you have Varya, they write Varya. W-A-R or V-A-R, Varya. So these are all common. So the oldest fort in India, Bhatinda, was made by them, the Chittorgarh fort.
Okay.
And temples like Somnath temple, Multan Sun temple, Martand temple, Sharda University.
Right.
A lot of and recently one copper scroll has been found in Oslo with the names of certain kings.
I read it somewhere. Right.
Coin copper scroll. So I picked up one line. I've got over 1,000 documents.
Okay.
So one line here, one line there, and combined.
Good.
So then I was not myself convinced. So I said, how do I convince others that this is the...
Exactly right.
So then I got my DNA tested.
Oh, fantastic.
DNA test result came that this is a very unique DNA. It is not common.
Okay.
So it is only prevalent, they have found it in the graves of Mongolia, in certain graves recently.
Okay.
And then it is there in North India, Kashmir, Gilgit side, and some Kabul, that side.
Okay.
So very rare DNA. So that again confirmed my theory of this migration
No, very good.
from central Mongolia.
That is a new thesis in itself. That is a new thesis in itself. And the people must realize that if they have to write history, they must write it through the DNA.
Yeah, that is because right now in India everything is word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Everybody claims everything.
Yes, right.
People say that we belong to this lineage.
Right.
But what is the evidence?
What is evidence? Right.
Now everybody claims.
Right.
So that is all secondary, which is not acceptable.
Right.
The primary evidence.
So when we are hopeful to see the shape, that content in book form?
Hopefully by March.
Hopefully by March. Very good, very good. And I'm sure you will invite us for the inaugural,
Definitely.
or the pre-book reading. Pre-book reading.
So I tweeted to the ambassador of Mongolia that this is there.
Very good.
He quite liked it, like the connection.
Right.
Interesting. Then I sent a message to another historian who's written a book on Soviet. So they also quite liked it because this is something nobody has ever written about.
Yeah, that's okay. And who is publishing that book?
I'm looking for a book.
We're looking for a publisher. Okay. So that I am sure the listener and viewers from the publishing industry will be looking and develop some interest in.
So person like Vikram Sampath, Dr. Vikram Sampath.
Yes, right.
So he's, I sent him a piece of my book.
Right.
So he said very interesting and thanks for sending.
Very good.
Then he sent a message back that you must write a book on it. I've already written a book.
That's the beauty. And what about the second book of Aviation? That also you should bring out fast. Professors have work.
That is that will come out very soon. Looking for some, like you said, photographs you were looking.
Exactly right.
So even without that, I will publish it.
Exactly. We got very limited, I think. Some magazine, etc. we got, but then beyond that, we still. I remember the last thing he wrote to me was regarding that only.
And that is about his learning from Steel Authority.
Yes, right.
So he has handled the biggest strike in India. So he was in the Bhilai steel plant. So there the heart is the blast furnace.
Okay.
So if that blast furnace goes cold, basically the whole plant goes dead.
Okay, right.
So their worker union decided to go on a strike.
Right.
So all the officers basically jumped in to keep that blast furnace running. So that was the biggest strike in industrial history of India. A few lakh workers went on strike. So he was the personal manager in charge.
Right.
So he kept it there, and then of course the strike was finished and on his terms. So one very interesting thing, what story tells me that people who did that strike, basically their intent was not good. Intent was to damage.
Right.
So at the end of the strike, he fired those people. That you tried to damage it rather than negotiate and all. So he fired. So their family basically came that our livelihood has gone. So he said, don't worry about that. I will give your family members a job. I will not give these people a job.
Good, right. Good,
so to maintain that livelihood, he ensured that family doesn't suffer.
That way professors are good at heart as well as active at the mind. And he will not spare anybody who is doing wrong.
So he was the troubleshooter of steel industry.
Good, right.
So anytime there is a strike anywhere, so there was one King Air aircraft waiting.
Right.
You would catch Bokaro steel plant, Rampila steel plant, go there, negotiate. So he was very good at personal rapport with everybody, the union leaders and all these people. So even in airport authority, I remember he says that when he went here in Delhi or Calcutta somewhere, how how his interaction with union people was there, and
Yes.
how he settled all those things.
Yes, yes, yes.
All those insights are there.
There was very challenging time, and he handled it so well. And people remember still. And professors have always believed that I mentioned, जो काम करना है 100% 24 कैरेट का ही करना है. And it was he who gave the uniform to the employees of International Airport Authority. And at that time, he ensured कि uniform तो Raymond से ही आए. First uniform we got from Raymond, and I don't know second we get it or not. Then onward, last we landed up to the lowest L1. Right, so that's the thing. And then one more before I wrap up this up. In the initial, I mentioned that you're handling 2 aircraft type of different family together. That's one. And then how do you find time out of the busy schedule of flying and everything? Something about that.
So flying after some stage becomes automatic. And it is, you start doing it. So what we say in skill development, there are different stages.
Right.
First, when you are new to a job, you are basically reading the SOPs and
Right.
just about managing.
Right. Right.
Then when you get used to it, then everything becomes automatic.
Right.
Then next stage is basically you start understanding that why am I doing this?
Exactly right.
So then later on you become an expert. Then that you don't normally follow the rules, which means you understand. Then you say, why can't we do it in a
Yes,
different way?
exactly right.
Like this. So that is an expert level. So after that, things are kind of automatic. So then you start thinking of engaging your brain
Right.
somewhere else, because you get more ideas. So like I said, ideas keep troubling me. Less ideas.
No.
It's like Vikram and Betal.
Right.
So
Right.
he's constantly sitting there. So you have to keep him engaged.
Exactly
So I have
right.
to keep my ideas engaged. So I put it in
And
my
then
blog, podcast.
blog, exactly. That is a very good tool which you adopted. And what is that blog for the information of the viewers?
So I started the blog with the name MindFly.
MindFly.
Because mind in the Indian context is something which is uncontrollable.
Uncontrollable.
And you have to all the time keep it under reins.
Exactly right.
So I was giving an example. I was a national level target shooter,
Okay.
silver medalist in India. So when we do target shooting, which is basically you have to align the sight and fire within 10 seconds.
Okay.
So if that 10 seconds pass, then you're basically out of breath.
Okay.
And your hand starts shaking.
Okay.
So there's always a tussle. Every time you shoot, there's a tussle between your brain and mind.
Right.
It is like playing cricket. You do not fish a ball going outside.
Right.
But even the biggest cricketer fishes and gets caught behind.
Oh, right.
Because brain is telling you something and mind says, no, do it, you'll get more.
Exactly
So you
right.
have to keep that mind under control.
You're right.
So in target shooting, we call something called a finger lock.
Okay. Right.
Finger lock means you have the trigger.
Trigger finger.
The brain is telling you fire.
Right.
The mind says, no, wait for 1 second.
Okay.
So there's a tussle. So you are trying to press the trigger, but the trigger is locked. It's finger lock.
Right.
When you force it too much, then your basically hand moves and it goes
Right.
So that is, you say that within 10 seconds, don't fire, leave it. You try again.
Exactly right.
That sort of discipline has to be there.
Right.
Plus breathing control.
Your blog is very educative.
Why we do what we do is there in the blog.
Right.
How human being thinks and what makes us do things. So that kind of, not the technical. We have investigations which are mostly technical.
Yes,
This
right.
part failed, the pilot did not do this.
Exactly.
Why did he not do?
Exactly right.
That we don't go into.
Right.
The root cause.
You're very right, and you were very well brought in the concept of safety, and safety is a universal problem, not related to aviation. And you very well said that for a professional pilot, piloting is not a stress. It comes automatically. Very good, right? Thank you very much for your time and effort. And now I have to come to Vikas, who made this today evening happen. And I don't know whether it was in subconscious mind, not we we are discovering a new relationship. Over to you.
But all I can say, it's been a great morning, and I've just loved every moment of it. Of course, meeting the fascinating Captain Amit Singh ji, and he has unbelievable ideas, and it's been really nice and very warm morning. Now, of course, we have gone into the afternoon, so fantastic.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
So
Thanks.
I must thank to you and to Captain Ravi, and it was very nice and very appropriate. All right, thank you. And then we will request someone to bring all three in our frame. Thoda sa, you come this side.
I'll come this side.
Okay, I think we are able to get all the three in the same frame. But this after. Fantastic. Virtually looks like a plastic flower. Great. Fantastic.
लग्जरी का बता करो।